Protests over the death of a black man in police custody have intensified, with demonstrators leaving widespread destruction on the streets of Minneapolis. They're demanding justice for George Floyd, who died after a white police officer knelt on the back of his neck for almost 10 minutes. These are live pictures from Minneapolis, where it's just after 10 o'clock on Thursday night. There have been 3 nights of protests and a second night of rioting that has taken place in that city, which has seen protesters looting stores, smashing windows. These riots and protests have spread to other states across America, with anger growing in the country. And our North America correspondent, Catherine Diss, has more from Washington.
The aftermath of a night of rioting and looting. Minneapolis neighbourhoods left in ruins, buildings burnt to the ground, shopfronts vandalised and ransacked. Protests raged here in the early hours of the morning as this community took their fury to the streets.
We must restore the peace so that we can do this hard work together.
In the hope of easing the tension, community leader Andrea Jenkins appealed to protesters through song.
Amazing grace.
George Floyd's death adds to a long list of incidents of police brutality against black Americans. His family want the police responsible to be charged with murder.
That was my oldest brother. I love him. I'm never going to get my brother back.
Tensions have spilled into other states. In New York, several protesters were handcuffed and taken away by police. The US Department of Justice says its investigation is a top priority and it's assigned experienced prosecutors to the case. The US President Donald Trump has described George Floyd's death as sad and tragic and asked authorities to expedite their investigations.
I do not condone or respect the act done by the police officer to Mr. Floyd. That was excessive and that was wrong. The question in my business is it criminal? That's what I have to prove.
A question many believe has been answered. Catherine Diss, ABC News, Washington.
These are live pictures coming to you from Denver, Colorado. We know that those riots have spread from Minneapolis in Minnesota to other states in the US. The one in Denver, Colorado started as a peaceful demonstration at the State House before someone nearby fired a gun that prompted the Colorado governor to put the city into lockdown. And now you can see there hundreds of demonstrators holding the line. There are police officers there as well. Earlier we saw pictures of cars that were parked. We think that's the State House building in Denver, parked outside that building with their windows smashed. This is all in protest against the police actions that led to the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. So that city of Denver now in lockdown. It's just gone 9 o'clock there in Denver on Thursday night. So the riots and the protests have been taking place in Minneapolis for 3 nights. This is the first night we've seen them spread outside of the state of Minnesota to other states. And these are live pictures coming to you from Denver, Colorado. So a lot of people angry at the police treatment of George Floyd, where he was pinned down by a police officer who had his knee into his neck, and George Floyd was saying, "I can't breathe." He later died in hospital. And people across the United States, particularly a lot of young people, a lot of teenagers have taken to the streets in Minneapolis. It's a bit hard to see the makeup of the crowd there in Denver, but that started out as a peaceful demonstration. Things have escalated there, but we're not seeing the same levels of violence that have taken place in cities like Minneapolis and the neighbouring Minnesota capital of St. Paul, where there has been rioting and looting and businesses set on fire, so arson taking place as well. But you can see there, as we take that aerial shot, that there is a big police presence there in Denver, but seemingly quite calm, the situation there at the moment, despite earlier us showing you those pictures of cars that had had their windows smashed. We will continue to bring you live pictures as they come to us. You can see now the crowd is dispersing. We don't have audio on this, so we're not sure exactly what has taken place for the crowd to spread like that. We know from the pictures we were bringing you from Minneapolis earlier that fireworks were being let off by some of the protesters there, and that police were using rubber bullets and tear gas to try to repel protesters. We don't know whether that is what is happening there in Denver, whether police are using that level of force to try and disperse the crowd, but certainly it seems as though some action is taking place there. You can see a police line now being formed. You can see one person who is down on the ground there. Those pictures are breaking up. But certainly some more activity taking place in Denver, it would seem.